Hello everyone, nubkeks here. Welcome back to Nub Raids. I have to re-record this video. I'm a freaking idiot. So I already uploaded this video, but I had misread the thing. So what is going on, guys? Well, we have a champion chase tournament for a ninja soul coming tomorrow. I misread this as champion training, right? I think because in my head, I was thinking, okay, they released ninja for free for everyone. Everybody can now have ninja. Great. And that there would be events coming where people could earn the soul. So obviously, in my head, and sorry, I still have the blind open, so that's sunlight coming in onto the green screen. My bad. Which is also why I'm kind of ghostly white. Too much light in the room. But I obviously assumed, okay, right? New players coming in. They'll do some sort of accessible event. Some sort of accessible event where all the new players or returning players or even mid-game players have been playing for a while but miss ninja, that everyone could perhaps participate and get a ninja soul. And I thought, hey, maybe it'd be a 4-star soul. That would be a pretty cool little gimme for them to do, like some sort of event that's not too intensive and everyone can get a 4-star soul for ninja. He's an old champion at this point. It would be a big win. So in my head, I was thinking accessible. So this champion chase, it just didn't register. It didn't register. And this is a 6-star perfect soul. 6-star perfect soul. So yes, guys, this is a champion chase tournament over the weekend, which means that this is literally Krakens only. Like, if you're a whale, forget about it. Like, it's not happening, guys. Sorry. You're not spending enough money. This is pretty much Krakens. Your only hope is when you're matched with Krakens in your group, the only hope is that they already have a 6-star soul or that their teams are so crazy that ninja is just not relevant for them. That's literally your only hope. So this actually team was from Limiting in my clan. This is his new personal best, and he's not like a low spend player by any means, but this is his new best Nightmare Hydra team. I think this is insane. What's really interesting about this team is obviously we've got the Lady Mikage ninja combo, and that is what is so powerful. That is so powerful. But what's really interesting to me is that with the double ally attack with Podrick and Mikage, very strong with ninja because his A1 is so strong, and Varl is a very similar champion as well. We can see when Mikage is in there, 5-star Varl, 5-star ninja. Varl's +1, not a big difference. I don't know if there's that much of a gear difference between the champions, but with Lady Mikage, ninja pulls ahead. I think without Mikage, they're quite similar. And Varl is bringing probably better utility overall with a decreased attack and weaken, right? The weaken especially is huge. And decreased attack is sort of almost essential. I think 2-hand rack has that though, so not too important, but still. Yeah, with Lady Mikage, ninja pulls ahead. He's just exceptional. The reason being his A1, number 1, hits extremely hard because it scales up from his passive. So his A1 absolutely claps. It gives him turn meter, which is really good because she can bring him in almost every turn because he's a Shadowkin to do that A1. Now, what's really interesting, like I said, about this team is Ninja is the decreased defense champion. They do not have another decrease. There's no AoE decreased defense. So basically, he's just picking heads, and because of Lady Mikage's A1 and ally attack and Podrick's ally attack, Ninja is doing so many A1s that he is the decreased defense champion. And it is weakening the AoE damage, right? Which is lowering Varl more because Ninja doesn't have any AoE attacks in Hydra. But Varl does. That's a bit weaker. And he doesn't really have many AoE attacks on this team. Archer's AoEs are going to be a little bit weaker. But for all the ally attacks, Ninja's getting the job done. It might even be better to move Ninja higher up in the team order as a small optimization. Just to, when an ally attack goes in, if there's no decrease, like if he used to ally attack this head right here, and it doesn't have decreased defense, actually it probably did. It's just, I guess it wiped their debuffs because the run ended. Ninja would land the decreased defense, and then Varl would be benefiting from the decreased defense, that sort of thing. But yeah, it's pretty big. But needless to say, 6-star soul for ninjas is exceptionally strong. So he's an exceptionally strong champion with Lady Mikage and Hydra. He's a good damage dealer without her. With her, he becomes exceptional because he just benefits so much from her A1 really, and her ally attack and the increased crit damage actually scales very well. That's a big multiplier on top of Ninja's massive attack multiplier that he's getting from his passive. So she brings him so much. But he really benefits massively from a soul as well. Like if we come to a legendary, a 6-star soul for Ninja, it's giving you a ton of stats. The defensive stats are actually really good because he's a squishy champion. So keeping him alive, those defensive stats can make a big difference. And then the attack, the crit damage, the accuracy, again, more offensive stats. And then also you can potentially skip like an accuracy banner or something like that. It gives you a lot to play around on top of 15 speed at this level. And of course, what would you give Ninja at 6-star? You'd give him Crushing Rend for Nightmare Hydra, where he can ignore then a ton of defense, which is just massive. It's going to hugely up his damage. I think probably to the point where a ninja with no souls versus a ninja with a 6-star soul, when you consider how valuable those stats are, how much more offensively you can then gear him, plus the effect of a 6-star Crushing Rend. In Nightmare Hydra, like a 6-star soul ninja might do twice as much damage as a 0 soul. I mean, at least 50% more, at least. I'm probably more than that. Like it's a pretty big difference. I'd love to see calculations on it, but I think it's pretty massive because he really benefits from the soul. So it's a pretty fantastic soul. Of course, I'm gushing about how good this soul is. A 6-star soul is insane, but it's a champion chase tournament. So, like, you need to have a lot of shards. Now, we do have some summoning events on at the same time. We'll talk about those in a second. But of course, one way, and this is something that hopefully most of you are sensible enough to do. Champion chase tournament starts in 21 hours, 42 minutes. The summon pool event obviously overlaps. So hopefully this is something that all of you are aware of, right? Hopefully all of you are aware of this, that for these summon pool events, it's always better nearly to wait to the end, unless there's like some sort of event overlapping near the start, of course. But, oftentimes these do carry over into the weekend and can sometimes help you with the summoning events at the weekend. So yeah, like for instance, for me, for this champion chase tournament, I'm probably going to go in and just get minimal rewards. I maxed out the Deck of Fate, so it's not a big deal, but I might come in and be able to, for the serpent points, right? I might be able to skip serpent points in like Dungeon Divers or something kind of annoying like that. So I've got my 2 free summons, which is nice. But I will say, I am laughing a little bit now because there's going to be, I can hear in the distance the sounds of Krakens screaming. The Krakens who don't care and just bought and pull loads of crystals like earlier in the week, and now they've got a Kraken out again for the Ninja Soul. Now, to be fair, maybe the Krakens, like I said, maybe they don't even care about a 6-star Ninja Soul. A bunch of them probably already have it already, or they've got a 5-star and they're not really pushed that much about a 6-star, or they've got better Hydra champions. But there's going to be some Krakens out there that are so used to Krakening. They're like, well, I'll Kraken out for this event. If I want to do the champion chase, I'll Kraken out for that as well. But now, because it's a tournament, you got to come first. They're like, shit, should have waited, should have Krakened out the weekend. That's a little funny, I think. But we do have some events. So for just general events though happening, we've got free gear removal on right now, so that's cool for 96 hours. So there you go, get your Cursed City done. We then will have a 2x Void Shard event for this weekend. So that's what's going on right now. Void Shard, it's again interesting in terms of Krakening out for this champion chase. It's interesting where Void Shards used to be, I'd say, sort of the thing to Kraken, one of the things to Kraken out on. Probably were the thing because energy, the value of energy sort of really fell off with all of the new sets coming to the game that can't be farmed with energy. Energy is nice for end game for farming Sand Devil and Shogun to upgrade your gear, but yeah, a lot of the best gear now comes from fairly fixed sources. Void Shards used to be a really, really good thing to whale on. I'd say that Primal Shards are now much better to whale on. So buying a bunch of Void Shards obviously is no problem for Kraken, but Yeah, for a typical player, again, is this a good event to summon on? We've got a 10x for Cardial overlapping. So 3 days of 2x event as usual. And then Friday and Saturday will be 10x Cardial. Cardial's great. If you don't have Cardial, that's fantastic. I will say that this event, though, it is a summoning event outside of a fusion. I would probably still only do this, number one, either if you've got tons of shards to spare, tons of void shards, then okay, maybe. But I would definitely not be summoning if it's going to put fusions in jeopardy. And I'd probably prioritize like bigger guaranteed events as well. Like this is a nice event, but it is still only a 10x, 2x. Like it's still a fairly small chance to get card. It's still a very small chance to get Cardial, especially considering how rare and expensive void shards are. So I think it's a nice event, but you know, it's nothing too crazy, nothing too insane. So yeah, that's sort of my vibe on it. Obviously, if you are going for the Serpent Titan event and you skip Deck of Fate because the Deck of Fate was very intensive, very intensive. I think it's still open, but I've maxed it out so it disappears. But if you need those Serpent points, if you're going for the 5-star Mithralisol, then this Champion Chase is something to go for. And hopefully you wouldn't need that many shards to do it either, especially if you did get some of these free prisms and you can carry those over. Hopefully you'll be able to get the Serpent points without being too expensive. It'll still be expensive, but hopefully not too bad. And you can, you know, hey, look, if you got a small chance for Cardial along the way, that's kind of a win. Cardial's a nice champion, right? He's a nice champ with ally attacks, you know, good buffs and stuff. He's going to be good for Siege. He's good for Hydra. He's good for Curse City. He's a good champion. He's a solid champion. Yeah, that's sort of what's going on there. So interesting. We've got obviously the massive Ninja Soul. I think this is a really big disappointment. You know, especially because they announced it like, oh guys, free ninjas coming back, but also events for your souls. And I was like, okay, well that's cool. So I mean, because there's a lot of players, you know, long-term players that have ninja haven't got anything from this because they've already had ninja, and I don't think that's a really big deal. But I thought like, okay, you know, well there'll be events for a soul, so at least there's that. And like I said, I was kind of hoping for, you know, a 4-star gimme event, like something that's not that hard that everyone could get and it'd be cool. So I'm like, all right, well, we'll get a ninja soul out of it. It's okay. It's okay. I think if this is the only soul event, that's real disappointing. That's really disappointing. That's like, all right, well, that's just not for me. Right? It's not for many people. This is, you got to spend so much money to win that. So yeah, I think that's a real bummer. And it's like, there's almost no point in saying in the news that there's going to be events for the Ninja Soul. What's the point? Really, it's irrelevant. Not only is it irrelevant because only 1 out of probably 100, maybe 200 people can win the tournament anyway. But again, the people that can even consider competing are even less than that. So meh, big meh for me. But the Void event, Void 2X is fine. And yeah, so good luck if you're pulling for the Serpent Titan event. Good luck. I might, like I said, I might dip in and grab some of the Titan points and skip some others. Not quite sure what I'm going to do, but that's what's happening there. And yeah, like I said, I had to re-record this video. I did a whole video thinking this was a freaking champion training tournament. And I was like, oh, that's a bloodbath. It's horrible. But yeah, this is irrelevant. My thoughts. Thanks for watching. I'll see you all next time. Goodbye.